The Adventures of the Falcon, starring Les Damon.
Hello? Yes, this is the Falcon speaking. Oh, Lola. Oh, thanks for the call, but tonight is no good, Angel. Now, I have to look into the case of a fellow who was so good at his work, he didn't think anyone could beat him. But somebody came along and beat the life out of him.
This is Ed Hurley, friends, inviting you to listen to The Adventures of the Falcon. You met the Falcon first in his best-selling novels. Then you saw him in his thrilling motion picture series. Now, join him on the air when the Falcon solves the case of the Plenty 20. It's Wednesday night in New York. And in an old loft, two men bend over a press, eagerly intent on the engraving that is emerging from it. Now there's a long, silent examination of the engraving. Light is brought closer. Magnifying glasses are brought into use. Still no words, but now hands begin to shake with excitement. Finally, the taller man with a little mustache, Louis Beretti, steps back and smiles at his companion.
Well, Kearns, it's perfect. The U.S. Mint couldn't do better itself.
Anyway, they'll get by, and that's what counts.
Oh, what gets me, Beretti, with a talent like that, you've been wasting time on little forgeries.
Got to wake up to a thing like this.
Well, this calls for celebration. Let's go get a jug.
Don't get ahead of yourself, Kearns. We've got the plates. Now we've got to unload.
Huh?
Earnshaw might give us a good price.
You're going to sell the plates?
What else?
Well, that's like killing a golden goose.
Wait a minute.
Hello?
Is Ed Earnshaw there?
This is Earnshaw.
Good. This is Louis Beretti speaking. I have something that might interest you. Would you care to see some samples?
I'm not easily interested, Beretti.
You will be in what I have.
Well, doesn't cost to look. I'll be here all night.
Good. I'll be over. So long.
Yeah, but why sell the plates, Beretti? This way we want cash. All we got to do is print it. What more can anybody ask?
How long do you think those 2 sheets of paper are going to last us? No, Kearns, there's a lot more to this deal than just the plates.
We can get more paper?
In big quantities, it ain't easy. Besides, no matter how good those plates are, the only perfect ones are Uncle Sam's. Every time we passed the bill, we'd be sticking our necks out. To do this right, you have to have an organization. Have to know where to pass them and when.
Well, maybe you're right.
Sure, I'm right.
Hey, who you calling now?
Ritter. Want to see if he's interested.
But you just called Earnshaw.
That's right.
Well, if Earnshaw wants to buy,
You'll have to meet my price. The best way to get the price to get these jokers bidding against each other.
Yeah, and you can get caught in the middle.
Don't worry, Kearns. As long as I have the plates, I call the shots.
You may call them, chum, but the big question is, who fires them?
Yes?
Mr. Ritter, this is Louis Beretti. I was just wondering if you might be interested. Morning, honey. What time is it?
Almost noon. And you're still in bed. Louis Beretti, big shot.
I got home late.
You're telling me. You might have phoned.
I was busy.
Would have taken all of 5 minutes.
Now, don't start riding me. Wait till I tell you the news.
I'm waiting.
How would you like a new car?
So it was a binge. You're still dreaming.
I'm not kidding. I hit it big. We're in the chips.
What happened?
Landed a big contract with an advertising company.
What company?
What company? A company, that's all. A company.
Advertising
Soap.
what? What soap?
Fine. I tell you, you can have a new car right away. You turn on the 3rd degree.
What do you mean 3rd degree? I'm your wife. You tell me you've landed a big contract. Naturally, I'm interested.
Always trying to butt in.
All I said...
I know what you said, and I know what you're thinking. You haven't gone hungry, have you?
Oh,
you've got a roof over your head, haven't you? If you don't like the way I do things, you know what you can do about it. Now get out of here. I want to get dressed.
Well, just a minute, lady. Where do you think you're going?
Inside to my husband's studio? Why, what's it to you?
Your husband, huh? Would you be Mrs. Louis Beretti?
What if I am? What's going on around here anyway? Why the crowd? Who are you?
I'm Sergeant Corbett of the New York Police Department.
I knew it.
Knew what?
Louis was mixed up in something?
Well, he's mixed up in something, all right. What do you know about it?
Nothing. It was just a hunch. What'd he do?
As far as we know, he didn't do anything.
You just said.
I said he's mixed up in something. You'd better prepare yourself for a shock.
I'm prepared. If he didn't do anything, that's shock enough. Now, what is it?
It's just, Mrs. Beretti, he's dead. Hello.
I'd like to see Mr. Waring, please.
Well, take a good look.
Oh, I hope you're the Mr. Waring I want.
So do I. Which Waring would it be?
The private detective called the Falcon.
I'm your bird. Come in.
Thank you. I had a hard time finding you. Don't you have an office?
In my business, an office means a filing cabinet full of bourbon.
So I've heard.
Well, I prefer martinis, so I operate out of my apartment. Now, who are you and what can I do for you?
I'm Mrs. Louis Beretti. Yesterday, my husband was murdered. The police questioned me a good part of the afternoon. They released me, but I'm still under suspicion.
And you want me to remove that suspicion?
That's right.
Well, can you give me any better suspects?
Not positively.
Tentatively, then.
Well, if you could find out anything about a Mr. Ritter or a Mr. Earnshaw.
Who are they?
Well, that's what I don't know. But from the way Louis behaved yesterday morning, I suspected that something was going on. And then a Mr. Ritter phoned the house.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't make out much of the conversation except that Louis said that Mr. Ritter still wasn't talking loud enough and he couldn't hear him. And he said it was too late anyway because Earnshaw already spoke English.
Well, that's a great conversation. And you don't know who either of these men are?
No, he never mentioned them before.
Is there anyone who might know them?
Well, the only one I can think of is my husband's assistant, Pete Kearns. But the police asked him about them and he claimed he didn't know them.
Well, maybe I'll have better luck. By the way, Mrs. Beretti, what did your husband and Kearns do?
They had a little art studio. They made silkscreen reproductions and etchings, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I always had an idea they were doing something else, too, only I never could find out what it was.
Well, just goes to show, man shouldn't keep secrets from his wife. It's dangerous.
Is it?
Well, sure. Look what happened to Louis Beretti.
Yes?
You Pete Kearns?
That's right. What do you want?
Well, I didn't come to look at your etchings. I thought perhaps you could tell me something about Ritter or Earnshaw.
The police thought the same. They were also wrong.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you mind if I come in and look over the studio?
You have a search warrant?
No.
I mind.
Well, look, it must have occurred to you, Kearns, that you're a suspect in this case. Maybe I can help you.
What makes you think so?
Well, Mrs. Beretti is paying good money for me to help her. You can latch on for a free ride if you like. Provided, of course, you're not the murderer. That's what I'm looking for.
When I need help, I'll pay my own way.
Such extravagance. Who'd think a struggling young artist could afford it?
I won't be able to unless I get to work. Police have kept me out of here until just a little while ago, and whoever killed Beretti made a shambles of the place. So, run along, huh? I've got work to do.
Sure, all right, Kearns. But just tell me one thing, will you?
What's that?
What makes you so sure you don't need help?
I'm not so sure. I'm also not so sure you'd be help.
Well, if you change your mind about me, you can reach me at Ed's Luncheonette over on Lexington Avenue, 53rd. Just ask for Mike Waring.
I'll make a note of it. Now, so long.
Hello?
Hello, Ritter. This is Kearns.
Yeah, Kearns, what is it?
Somebody else has been here looking for you. Sooner or later, they're going to find the Ritter they're looking for. So if you and I are going to get together, we better do it quick.
Waring, I see why you always hang out here at Ed's Luncheonette. They sure turn out a mean salad. Sure, Corbett, but about the case... Oh, I'm sorry, Waring. I've given you every blessed fact I've got on the case so far. Well, there ought to be something we could latch on to, Corbett. Some kind of a lead.
Hello, fellas.
All right, Corbett.
What's the joke?
Look at him. You ever see a fancier fumbling act? Never mind, Corbett. You win. I'll take care of it.
No, Waring, no. It's just
all
that,
right. Forget it. I've got it. Here, Ed. Take both checks out of this 20.
All right, Mike. Hey.
Huh?
Wait a minute. Is this a gag?
What do you mean?
It's a beautiful job, I'll admit that. It'd probably pass most places, but I've been in this game too long to let one of these get by me.
What in blazes are you talking about?
This 20. It's counterfeit.
It's what?
Well, ask the sergeant if you don't believe me. Here, Sarge, take a look.
Yeah. Oh, he's right, Waring. Where did you get this?
From Mrs. Beretti.
Well, what do you know? The Falcon lets himself get paid off in funny money.
Oh, all right, Corbett, you can stop grinning. It's not that funny.
Wait till the boys at headquarters hear about this, Waring.
Look, pal, you can just...
Oh, hello.
Well, my charming client. All right, Mrs. Beretti, what was the idea?
What?
Paying me in counterfeit.
Counterfeit?
As if you didn't know.
I didn't.
Your husband printed it, didn't he?
I don't know. I told you I suspected something, but I didn't know what.
Where did you get the bills you gave me?
From Louis.
You have any more lying around?
I just...
Now, look, Mrs. Beretti, if you don't answer, we can get a search warrant. Holding counterfeit is a federal
Now,
offense.
don't yell at the lady, Waring. You'll have to forgive him, Mrs. Beretti. He's kind of touchy just now.
Come in. I don't want any trouble. I'll show you where the money is.
All right.
Right down this hallway. Louis came home late a couple of nights ago. And in the morning, he talked about having a lot of money. He said it had something to do with a contract. But when I asked him about it, he lost his temper. I was afraid something was wrong, but I didn't know what. And then he was killed. And then I found this briefcase. Just a minute. Here we are. It's in this closet. It's under all these things. But believe me, I didn't know it was counterfeit. There it is.
Hey, a briefcase full of the stuff.
Look, you hired me to help you. Why didn't you show me this?
I didn't think it was necessary.
You were afraid it'd be taken away from you.
Well, it was my husband's money. I didn't see why I shouldn't keep it.
But you told me you suspected your husband was involved in something. You hinted strongly that something was illegal. So you knew there was something wrong with the money.
I didn't know it was counterfeit. I suspected. There's a big difference.
All right. You can fight that out later. Right now, we've got to get this stuff into the hands of the Treasury boys. Mrs. Beretti, where's your telephone? Yeah?
We have Earnshaw, Sergeant.
Oh, good. Bring him in.
Right.
Well, Waring, now that we know we're dealing with counterfeiting, we're beginning to get somewhere. This guy, Ed Earnshaw, has been involved in a couple of counterfeiting deals already.
Right in there, Earnshaw. Okay.
Mr. Earnshaw, come in.
Thank you.
Sit down. Do you know Mike Waring?
Falcon, I've heard of him. It's a pleasure.
Likewise. And we're both liars.
I understand you boys found a batch of phony scratch and you want to tie me to it.
No, I'll leave that to the Treasury Department. I'm homicide. All I'm interested in is a little matter of murder.
Well, that's a nice subject, but it's a little out of my line.
Yeah? You know Louis Beretti?
Beretti? Was he a big fat guy?
He was a little skinny guy.
Red hair?
No.
Looks like I didn't know him, doesn't it?
Well, he knew you.
Well, lots of people know Ed Earnshaw.
He had dealings with you.
Must have been a different Earnshaw.
Are there many Earnshaws in your racket?
Racket, Sergeant? You know better than that. I'm a solid citizen.
Earnshaw, what did you do with the plates you swiped from Beretti?
I didn't swipe them. They were...
Yes, they were what?
Nothing. I don't know anything about the plates.
You started to say something about them. Obviously, you know there were plates, so you did know Beretti.
I'm not talking.
You already have.
You can't prove anything by it.
Well, at least now we know we're on the right track. Beretti had plates for turning out counterfeit 20s. Apparently somebody killed him and swiped the plates. You knew about the plates. It all fits.
You've got no proof?
Well, we can get...
Just a second, Waring. Hello, Sergeant Corbett speaking. I see. Okay. Yeah, right, so long. Well, Waring, there's our other lead.
Ritter?
Yeah. There's a Frank Ritter on East 12th who did time 10 years ago in Kansas for counterfeiting.
Mm-hmm. Well, Corbett, what do you say if I run over and drop in on this, Ritter, while you continue our chat with Earnshaw?
Yeah, all right, Waring. But how come you're still so hopped up on the case after the way your client treated you?
Well, that's all right. Beretti had insurance. May take a little time, but I'll get mine.
You just said a mouthful, Waring.
What's that, Earnshaw?
You're going to get yours all right. Only it won't take time.
Yes,
Frank Ritter,
that's right.
I'd like to talk to you.
What about?
I suppose I could put you in line for a stack of beautiful bills at the rate of 2 to 1.
Huh? You think I'm crazy, mister?
No.
Even saying I might go for a deal like that, what makes you think I'd even discuss it with a total stranger?
Well, that's just the point. No reason why we should be strangers. I was hoping you'd invite me in and we could get acquainted.
Sorry, I'm busy.
Won't take long.
No, thanks. Now beat it.
Hey, you sure are nervous. Why do you keep looking at the elevator?
I told you I'm busy. Now get out of here.
All right. But... Oh, there's the elevator. Is that who you've been expecting? Well, what do you know? It's Beretti's assistant, P.D. Kearns. Hello, Kearns. Hey, wait a minute. Hey, is that any way to act, Kearns? You don't seem happy to see me.
Let it out. Let go.
Yeah, sure, in a minute. What have we got here?
Give me that.
You mind if I open it?
I'll kill you.
Yeah, I'll bet you would if I gave you the chance. My, how do you like that? He's delivering some artwork. A steel engraving. Wouldn't just happen to be of a $20 bill, would it?
All right, fella, I'll take that plate.
Oh, yes, you, Ritter. I thought this was my dance with Kearns. Why must you cut in?
The gun cuts me in.
Oh, yeah, I suppose it does.
So hand over the plate and hand it over easy.
All right, here you are.
Right. Now let go of Kearns.
Yeah, sure.
And now both of you come. Hey, Kearns, come back here. Come back here, Art.
You'll nothing. You know, Ritter, it was impolite of Kearns to run out on you, but I can't complain, seeing as how I wind up with the gun and the plate. Now let's go down and see Sergeant Corbett, huh? Hello, Corbett. Brought you presents. In fact, a couple of presents.
Oh, hello, Larry. Is that Ritter?
This is Ritter. And Ritter, meet Sergeant Corbett.
Seems he don't want to meet me.
Well, he's the bashful type.
Until I see my lawyer, I am.
Okay.
Now, Corbett, look what else I have.
Hey, one of the plates.
Yep. It'll make a beautiful print of the back of a $20 bill.
And Ritter had it? Well, then, according to your theory...
No, Corbett, Ritter didn't have it. I got it from P.D. Kearns.
Kearns? Well, then he's our boy.
Looks like.
Where is he?
Got away. I swapped him for Ritter. Looks like a bad trade, but I didn't have any choice.
Well, I'll put out a call to have him picked up. Then I'd better call the Treasury boys and tell them this plate's here.
Yeah, you better.
And as for you, Ritter... Oh, no. Homicide, Sergeant Corbett speaking. What's that? Yeah, I see. Okay, so long. Was the Treasury boys.
You didn't tell them about the plate.
Waring, you know that briefcase we found at Beretti's?
With the counterfeits, yeah.
Well, I've got news for you, Waring. It's not counterfeit.
What?
They've just gone through the whole case, bill by bill. $30,000. And every one is genuine 100% United States currency. Now, back to the adventures of the Falcon. A couple of hours have passed since the Falcon and Sergeant Corbett discovered that the money they found at Beretti's, which they thought wasn't worth the paper it was printed on, turned out to be worth an even 30 grand. Now Mike is in his apartment when the door buzzer sounds.
Oh, Kearns.
Get back inside, Waring. I'm coming in, too.
Yeah, so I see. Well, as long as you've got the gun, I might as well be hospitable.
Yeah.
Well, now, what am I indebted for this visit?
Waring, I can't...
Hey, what's the matter? You're hurt.
It's all right. Stay back.
Well, I'm back, but you're...
I'm all right. Prowl car caught up with me. I ran. They fired. It's just a scratch. It's not serious.
From the color of your face, it's plenty serious. You look as weak as a mixed drink in a clip joint.
Shut up. I'm all right, I tell you.
All right, it's your funeral. If you think I'm kidding...
Keep it up, Waring. You'll get what I got. Triple. I'm not carrying a gun for exercise.
All right, Kearns. What do you want?
Well, let's sit down. Oh. All right, now.
Yeah?
You said before you wanted to help me.
It was supposed to be a two-way deal. You tossed in your hand.
Still a two-way deal. I can help you. I know who killed Beretti.
Well, what do you want with me?
Get proof. Wrap it up so I get off the spot.
All right. Where do I begin?
By believing I didn't do the killing.
You had the plates. You probably still have one.
Yeah, I still have it. I wasn't taking them both up to Ritter's at once. Wanted to see if he was on the level first.
You know, you can do a long stretch just for what you're admitting.
I know it, Waring. I'm stuck with that. Got the goods on me, nothing I can do, but the chair gives me the willies. I'm not a killer. You've got to prove it.
Well, then who is?
Sure, I had the plates. Why not? I worked with Beretti.
Yeah, I see your point.
Good.
Just tell me one thing.
What's that?
How much was Ritter going to pay you for the plates?
25 grand. Why?
Just want to see if it all ties in. It does.
What do you mean?
You wanted proof? We've got proof. We don't need any more.
What proof?
Your story.
They won't believe it.
Maybe not all by itself. And I don't suppose Earnshaw or Ritter will talk. But if you stick to your story and Mrs. Beretti sticks to hers, and I stick to mine, that should wrap it up.
And you think...
I know. Now, come on, let's go down and see Sergeant Corbett.
No police, not yet.
Kearns, we just agree...
We won't discuss it. As long as I have the gun, we do things my way.
I suppose we do. What's your way?
First, you call Marion.
Who?
Mrs. Beretti. I want to see if Louis told her anything.
I know what she knows.
Will you do what I tell you?
Yeah, sure, pal, sure.
You call Marion, you ask her to... Oh, all right.
All right, Kearns, as long as you had the gun, we'd do things your way. Now that you don't have it, I'm taking you to Sergeant Corbett. First, I'm taking you to a doctor.
Well, Waring, they're all here except Kearns. The doctor will bring him in as soon as he finishes patching him up.
Well, I don't think we need to wait, Corbett. I'm pretty sure I know Kearns' angle, so let's see what we can get out of these others.
All right, quiet. Quiet, please. Quiet. You want to talk when we ask questions. All right, you, Earnshaw. You still deny you had dealings with Beretti?
Check.
It's a bum check, Earnshaw. When Kearns gets here, he'll swear Beretti offered to sell you the plates.
And this Kearns is a character who cannot tell a lie.
All right, Earnshaw. You don't admit anything. But you, Ritter, it's not so easy. Waring caught Kearns calling on you with a plate.
I can't help who calls on me. That doesn't say I invited him.
You were expecting him. You kept looking at the elevator.
Maybe I was just wishing you'd get on it, Waring.
And you were ready to take the plate with a gun as soon as I got it from Kearns.
You guys were fighting. I wanted to see what it was all about.
Oh, sure. You didn't know about the plate.
Not till then.
Kearns says you offered him 25 grand for the plates.
You boys sure put a lot of stock in this Kearns, don't you?
He worked for Beretti. He was in a position to know the facts.
That doesn't say he wouldn't lie about them.
Well, it's not only Kearns. There's Mrs. Beretti. She heard her husband mention you on Earnshaw, right, Mrs. Beretti?
Yes.
So you see, Ritter, it all fits. There's only one thing that doesn't fit.
What's that?
Mrs. Beretti, you said you got those bills you paid me with from your husband's briefcase.
I did.
But the bills in the case were good. The ones you paid me were counterfeit.
The bills in the briefcase were in little packets, but there were a few loose ones lying on top. I took those off. They're the ones I gave you.
Oh, could be. Those could have been the samples your husband showed Earnshaw.
Look, Waring, I told you...
And I'm telling you, Earnshaw, you did have dealings with Beretti before you killed him.
What? I killed him.
Yes, and I'm glad you admit it.
Who's admitting
Well, it doesn't matter if you do or not. The facts speak for themselves, Earnshaw. And what they say about you is murder. You know, Mrs. Beretti, I learned your name is Marion.
Oh, my, you are the detective, aren't you?
Yes, I like Marion better than Mrs. Beretti.
All right, Mike.
Thanks, Marion.
And now that we're so chummy, how about letting me in on the trade secret?
Which secret?
How you solved the case.
Oh. Well, that money you showed us did it.
How?
It was real.
What did that prove?
Proved your husband had sold the plates. That money could only have been payment for them.
But Kearns had the plates if Louis had sold
Well,
them.
Kearns worked with your husband. He was in a position to swipe the plates, and that's exactly what he did. He swiped the real ones and substituted some old trial plates.
I see.
Your husband made the sale on the basis of the samples he'd made from the real plates. But the ones he delivered were Kearns' substitutes.
Oh, and when the person who bought the plates tried to run off some more bills, he found he'd been cheated.
That's right. So he went back to your husband, demanded the real plates or his money back. But your husband, thinking he delivered the real ones, refused. There was a fight about it, and your husband was killed.
I see. So all you had to know was who bought the plates, and you'd know the murderer. But how did you know it was Earnshaw?
Well, remember the conversation you overheard? Your husband said Ritter still wasn't talking loud enough, but it didn't matter because Earnshaw had already spoken English.
Yes.
Well, that had to mean that Ritter still wasn't offering enough, but it didn't matter because Earnshaw had already met your husband's price.
Oh, of course.
Yes. Oh, before you get out, I want to tell you something.
What's that?
Well, it's obvious you didn't get along with your husband, but you'll still probably want a little time to get over what's happened. So when the time's up, perhaps you and I can get together?
Oh, then I'm forgiven for paying you in counterfeit.
Oh, I wasn't sore at you about that. I was sore at Corbett.
You were sore at yourself.
Well, maybe. Anyway, if you get to feeling lonely sometime, let me know.
Oh, no, Mike, I couldn't do that.
Why not?
Well, I have a friend who knows you. That's how I heard about you. And she says every time she calls you, you say, thanks for the call, but you can't make it tonight, Angel.
You think I'd do a thing like that to you?
No, of course not, Mike. You won't get the chance.
Oh?
Because if there's any calling to be done, you call me. Good night, Mike.